All right, I think we have people joining us, but we are going to go ahead and get started. I would like to welcome everyone to the National Japanese American Historical Society's 2020 Annual Awards Program. I'm Jana, a journalist with KTVU Fox 2 News, and I'm so delighted to be your host this evening as we celebrate this virtual celebration with everyone online from so many different places coming together so that we can honor these three individuals and one organization tonight. We're going to be taking a look back at the 70s and 80s as we honor our special guests. We're also going to be looking at people's dedication, their compassion, and their spirit that helped the Nikkei community move forward despite some very great obstacles. We're going to hear directly from teachers and a student who benefited from the Historical Society's programs that have continued to go on even despite this pandemic and the shelter-in-place orders. And we want to acknowledge all the work that they have been doing at this time. We had asked where people are zooming in from, and it looks like there's quite a nice representation from all over the area. We do have a graph there that shows where people are from. There are people not just from the San Francisco Bay Area, but also Washington, the other states, and even someone who's joining us from Japan. So thank you all, welcome. We're so glad that we're able to come together at a time like this and be able to continue doing the good work that the Historical Society does and also honoring the people in our community. And we wanted to start off this evening with a welcome message from the Executive Director of NJAHS, Rosalyn Tonai.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. The National Japanese American Historical Society prides ourselves in our mission to preserve, collect, interpret, and share information of the Nikkei experience to the broader national community. Our vision is to learn from the past so we can influence the future. In these times, it is critical that we share important lessons of the Japanese American experience to all of America. We're making our collections and programming more accessible. We are digitizing our 35,000 item collections, transcribing some 300 oral histories, capturing the heart-wrenching stories of the 100th 442nd Military Intelligence Service and the incarceration camps, sharing these stories with a greater audience. Our staff are trained professionals in museum collections and program development, dedicated to this cause. From interns to our research fellows who get hands-on experience to our paid staff and our curriculum PhDs, we rely on the creative talents to get the job done. In education, we trained 175 teachers nationwide using our award-winning pedagogy in our We're All American teacher workshops from Seattle, Santa Fe, Boise, Chicago, Minneapolis, and Washington, D.C. We work collaboratively on exhibits with the National Park Service, the Presidio Trust, the University of San Francisco, Canada's Nikkei National Museum and the Cultural Center, Japantown, and guest curators. While COVID-19 has temporarily closed our galleries, we pivoted to bring programming exhibitions to you virtually. If you missed our programs, no worries, you can view them online. Our fantastic board of directors support and guide us along the way. Feel free to approach them in the chat. Thank you for your support and for being on this journey reflecting back. We will move forward because together we will make this change possible. Here's to you and our year in review.
It is really so amazing to see just all of that in one video. There's so much work that it takes to go and produce each one of those programs, and the staff, the National Japanese American Historical Society, has been working tirelessly behind the scenes, even during this pandemic, to make sure that all of those programs and the initiatives keep moving forward. And we are really excited tonight to share with you that we have this special Fund a Need fundraising effort today, but the Historical Society has just received a federal grant from the National Park Service. It is a 2-to-1 match. It's very exciting. So whatever we raise tonight will get matched with federal funds. It's September, and as students are returning to school, the teachers out there are looking for different kinds of curriculum. And NJAHS has a teacher curriculum that they can share, that they have done teacher training, and it's so exciting to see what goes on in those moments of interaction. So we are hoping that as you're watching the program, if you have a moment, you'll take some time to go to one of the fundraising sites or text, and we have Melissa Bailey here who is with us to kind of demonstrate how this new world of virtual fundraising is going to work tonight. Melissa.
Hi again, everyone. So we set up a real-time link so you can give anytime and anywhere by remote, by text or phone, or simply clicking or capturing the QR code that we emailed out in that invitation on your phone. So another way that you can donate is just by going to givebutter.com/ninjas-AAT 2020, and you can donate online through your browser there as well. So as you can see, this is our live feed right now. So far, we've raised $25. We're hoping to reach a total fundraising goal of $10,000, and we'll be checking in on the progress throughout the evening tonight.
That is great. Thank you, Melissa. And we understand that where goal is 10,000, you might have seen there. So we are hoping that we can all pull together, try and get that goal or as close to it as possible, and really try and help support all of the work that is being done here at NJAHS throughout the year. Now, we also are going to be giving some door prizes, even though it's a virtual door, but we do have some wonderful door prizes for you, our guests. So as the evening goes on, we're going to be drawing virtual tickets, and please stay tuned for that. The funds are going to be basically used, everything from tonight, to help support this very, very important work. And we really are so appreciative of the efforts to try and get stories out. We have a short video that we wanted to share with you that has some reflections on the part of teachers and a student who participated in one of these programs and reflecting really on what they got out of it. So here's a short video of what they have to say.
Hello, my name is Christina Wong, and I attended the online workshop We Are All Americans, led by the National Japanese American Historical Society. I've been an educator for over 20 years, and this was one of the most well-prepared and thought-out workshops that I've attended in quite a long time. I learned so much about the intricacies regarding the relationships and conflicts of the Japanese communities in America during World War II. In addition, I learned about not just looking at the event itself, but tracing back the past into the attitudes, intentions, and motivations of the U.S. government during this very traumatic time in our history.
My name is Martina Gutierrez, and I teach in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. I teach 10th grade real history, and I teach a multi-level elective called Human Rights. The last few years, I've been able to participate in several trainings through the National Japanese American Historical Society, and they have been some of the best trainings that I have received. I was able to work with a handful of teachers from other parts of the country, and we were able to exchange our ideas, lesson plans, and how we actually put these lessons into practice. I can walk in, they hand me materials, and they not only have the materials prepared, but they have them prepared for a student to use. And then they want us to give feedback. Do you think this will work? I can take some of these strategies and some of these ideas and apply them across the board to any curriculum. Their educational programs are absolutely some of the best, and I recommend them to anybody and everybody that I can that I know that teaches history, whether it's world history, U.S. history, global history, or social studies, if you're teaching human rights, if you're teaching an elective, even if you're teaching literature. This is a wonderful program because we're looking at sources that we can handle and that the students can dig into and delve into and manipulate. Thank you so much, and I hope that you will continue funding our program.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Little, and I'm a teacher from Kitsap County, Washington. One of the most difficult questions to answer in the social studies classroom is not only what is citizenship, but how to practice citizenship. And the We Are All Americans curriculum answers both of those questions. Students learn the what citizenship is when they're reading those untold stories in the case studies. They get to see examples of citizenship, loyalty, and service amongst the Japanese American community when faced with incarceration. Students also get to practice the how-to, because when they're using those case studies, they're practicing collaboration, historical inquiry, and historical empathy. And to me, those are the skills of a citizen.
Some wonderful testimonials there, and we hope that you will help to support that ongoing work. It's time now. We'd like to move on to the first part of our program where we are honoring the people who have been part of this community, who have been working tirelessly to try and improve things and move the community forward. Our first honoree we'd like to recognize is Reverend Ronald Kobata. Reverend Kobata was born in Ogden, Utah, and raised in San Francisco. He is the well-loved and respected minister at the Buddhist Church of San Francisco. He recently retired after 27 years of service, and he has been a champion of many social justice issues of his generation. His life as an activist goes back to the 1970s. Reverend Kobata has consistently fought for change, whether it's standing with Native Americans at a protest on Alcatraz Island, organizing youth as the founder of the Japanese Community Youth Council, or holding discussions in the community about issues of race, violence, and gun control. He is the founding member, as I mentioned, of the Youth Council, and he's also among the graduates of the Institute of Buddhist Studies in Berkeley, which has fostered generations of ministers to go out to the Buddhist churches of America. His career has taken him to Japan, Washington, and Hawaii, and then back to his hometown of San Francisco. He's been engaged in the San Francisco Interfaith Council, really working on issues across different faiths. And seeing his ministry through a Buddhist perspective, he will probably be the first person to tell you that he's just grateful for all of the support, the causes, and the conditions that have led him to where he is. But we also know that he has forged his own path forward and worked with partnerships across the board. He was involved most recently in the Sudo for Solidarity, drawing attention to the injustices of the U.S. government's interment of World War II Japanese Americans here in this country, but also the current separation and detention of migrant children. And most recently, he participated in the 75th anniversary of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki at Japantown's Peace Plaza. NJAHS is honored to bestow this award on Reverend Ronald Kobata for his lifetime achievement of being a catalyst for change.
I happened to meet this teacher at what we call, within the Buddhist Church of America, we have a seminary in Berkeley called the Institute of Buddhist Studies. And I met this teacher named, he's passed away, but Taitetsu Unno. Something in our conversations and things just got me more inspired to get into Buddhism. And that's where, you know, all the other stuff going on in Berkeley, you know, in the late 60s and so forth, was becoming part of my spiritual concern about life and things going on, and just Buddhism just kind of resonated for me. My basic acronym is Coming Alive, ALIVE, aware, loving, inspired, valued, engaged. So I see coming alive as what it means to be enlightened. I mean, not some kind of supernatural, you become a Buddha, you start levitating, or all that kind of image, but no, just feeling alive. So I was in the part of the campus where all that stuff was happening. And that just kind of resonated for me, that this is the way I think we should be concerned about living and understanding and trying to address these inequities and, especially the war and then, the whole ethnic identity movement and those kinds of things were just getting started, and it just kind of fit for me. The people that I was associating with, they were just kind of looking at these kinds of, community activists and, enter third world, they use that term, third world movements, and that just happened at that time. And yeah, I guess I was given that opportunity to join that effort to support the Native Americans. And so that, just like, right, I mean, even within the Nikkei community, it took a while before a voice began to be expressed within the Nikkei community. So it was, 30 or 40 years later, 1988. And that didn't start until, the early 80s. So it just takes time and different things develop. I mean, look, how we have ninjas and we have these other Nikkei activists, social justice groups develop. I don't think we should be conformists, that we should become more conscious about our responsibilities to each other and how our actions, affect, the world around us. And as much as, the world around us should have some kind of impact on how we feel about that responsibility. A ministry of presence, so being present, being showing up. And for me, I mean, that became something I thought was important. Well, I'm just very encouraged, like I was saying, that, with the Japantown for Justice group of Yonsei that are getting involved and engaged, that, you just have really affirmed, that that what the Sansei activists of the past were starting with is continuing on. It's basic idea that okage-sama de. I mean, it's nothing I did by myself. It was just the causes and conditions that all came together of all the people I've interacted with and all the situations that arose that drew me to participate. May we all realize and become perfect peace. From the piece of the puzzle to the piece of the wholeness of our life, or oneness of our life. That's the spiritual healing that I feel Buddhism was intended or provided to help us realize, to live and die in peace.
Wonderful words from Reverend Ronald Kobata. Reverend Kobata, congratulations. We are so glad to have had you as part of this, and thank you so much for your years of dedication. We all wish you the very best on your retirement, and I hope you can hear the claps going on through the internet for all of the work that you have done over quite a distinguished career. Thank you. We'd like to move on to our next honoree, and this is an organization that is now in its 50th year. The Asian American Curriculum Project was founded back in 1970 as the Japanese American Curriculum Project, or JACP, and it was done by a group of teachers and educators growing out of the early days of the Japanese American Redress movement. And it helped to fill a void by providing historically accurate educational materials to teachers, to professors, and public officials who really needed some solid information about the incarceration experience. Essential to that mission was a very core group of contributors, and I'd like to name them at this point so they can be recognized. They are Edison Uno, Astor Mizuhara, Sid Kinoshita, Shizue Yoshina, Catherine Reyes, Rosie Shimonishi, George Hinoki, Don Sekimura, Susan Tanioka, and Florence Makito Hongo at its helm. Throughout the 1980s and the 1990s, when the redress campaign was in full swing, JCP established a bookstore, and Florence was joined by her husband, Moss, and their children, all 5 of them, who helped to lend a hand to this bookstore's operations. And by the 1990s, the organization had really expanded the book titles to really address the growing needs of other Asian Americans. And at that point, they changed their name and diversified the board. Leonard Chan helped to set up the website. He's also one of the longest serving volunteers, helping with publications, newsletters, book shows, author readings for libraries. And today, AACP continues to publish and has found a niche with children's literature, resulting in Asian American topics. AACP continues its mission because of the countless volunteers who help donate time and funds to make sure that they are able to fulfill their mission. NJAHS is honored to have the Asian American Curriculum Project celebrate its 50th year of service to Japanese and Asian Americans in the community, and also to bring a light to the World War II camp experience to a broader audience of people here in the United States. We honor them with a 2020 award for their strong sense of commitment to helping improve and relations and also generate identity for new generations of readers. Here's a video highlighting their work.
What happened was that they asked me to work for the San Mateo City Elementary School District as a community person, and I was in this committee. Sat down with that committee and started to talk about the camps. They almost fell on the floor. In 1970, nobody knew about the concentration camps. The African-American gal said to me, "You got to tell this. You have to share this story because they have to know that it's more than just African-Americans." And so I said, "But I don't know anything about my background. I know that I went, and I know about the good times that I had, but I don't know about how it happened, you know." So that was when I met Edison Uno, and Edison said to me, "The American concentration camps, there's a book by Bosworth that you have to read." So I picked up the book, and when I began to read it, I began to cry. And I didn't understand at that time why it was that I was crying. But it had already been how many years since the concentration camps, you know? And I had never known why it happened. And this book, the Bosworth's American Concentration Camps, was one of the first books that told about the government's involvement in putting us in concentration camps for 3.5 years. I was shocked. I was so shocked that when I read that book that I said, I'm going to do something about this. You know, in 1970, nobody was talking about the concentration camps, except amongst themselves. Edison joined us after we had organized. The stuff that was available didn't tell the truth. And so the group that got together, we all agreed that was what our focus was going to be, was curriculum, to try to get this information into the schools. First book that we wrote was when we were first organized. He was going to introduce the redress issue to the entire national organization. He was talking about it locally, and everybody knew about it locally, but he wanted to get the attention of the national JACL. But they did take it up because he was so convincing. He said that they had to do this, that he understood that this was, what happened was unconstitutional, and that we had to fight it, and we were the only ones that were going to do it. The redress started, you know, I thought about what I would do. And in the beginning, I gave some money, because I know that they needed money. But I said, I have a more important role, and that's our bookstore. And so we began to encourage people to buy books and send them to senators and political people, so that they would learn about the internment. And so that was my role in the redress. I didn't realize until after I was 40 how much my life connected with African Americans and Chinese Americans and others, We're all in the same boat here in the United States. And we need to always be conscious of that. So that's the reason why the JACL and OCA and other organizations are becoming involved in what's going on, the Black Lives Matter issue, And that's good, because that's what has to happen, is that we have to maintain that coalition. Our mission really is to still tell the story of the Asian Americans, because in the first place, there is no bookstore that has just Asian American stuff, especially for children's books. I'm very particular about children's books. And if they have the wrong visuals, the wrong storyline, we just don't carry it. Our children's books are the most popular. The relatives come in, grandma, grandpa, uncles, and they buy the books for the children.
How wonderful, and what a legacy. Congratulations to Florence Hongo and the AACP for bringing all of that to our community. It really took a lot of that pioneering spirit to do it, and we so appreciate you. Thank you, and congratulations on being one of the 2020 award winners. We really appreciate all of these efforts that people have been making to try and do what they can, where they can in the community. And NJAHS certainly has benefited from some of the publications that the AACP has produced, some of the book titles that they have carried over the span of the years. And NJAHS has played a role in trying to help bring some of those materials into the classroom, as we mentioned. Melissa is going to remind us once again of how you can help and how you can do a small part as well to be part of this overall effort. Melissa?
Hi again. So just going to bring up again our Give Better page. So in case you missed it earlier, you can donate to our fundraiser in which we're trying to raise matching funds for our teacher workshops. So if you go to our Give Better page, you can see just in that short period of time, we've raised an additional amount of money, $2,100 now, raising from that total we saw earlier of $25. So thank you so much. We appreciate all of your donations and all of your participation. So back to Jana, who's going to talk about our first door prize.
Yes, and thank you so much for everyone who went onto the page and who donated so far. We really appreciate that, especially in this age of our virtual awards ceremony and fundraiser. We did want to let you know that the Asian American Curriculum Project has generously donated 20 copies of that book that Florence was talking about, the Japanese to English coloring book, to give to our guests as door prizes. So at this point, we are going to have one of the staff members randomly pulling winners from our guest list. And then we will be sending an email out to all of the winners after the program. We appreciate AACP donating this prize. The A for Ame was written by founder Florence Hongo and Mina Harada Imo. Right now, right now as we speak, they are drawing the names, and this is what a wonderful book, what a wonderful way to celebrate and look at Japanese culture, also in a way, as she mentioned, through the eyes of children and helping children to really gain a broader perspective. So thanks again to AACP for donating these door prizes. And we'd now like to move on to hear from two young people who have had connections with ninjas, two student interns.
Hi, I'm Yushen, and I'm an Asian American Studies major at UC Berkeley. As an intern for NJAHS, I've been transcribing and translating oral histories for the Bear Witness Oral History Project. Through this experience, I've been able to realize that everybody has their own story that can't be captured through the words in a textbook. NJAHS has allowed me with the opportunity to understand how important it is to preserve these stories and to let these voices be heard.
Hi, I'm Hiro, and I major in history and minor in Asian American Studies and Museum Studies at San Francisco State University. As an intern for NJAHS, I've had the opportunity to develop skills in preservation, research, marketing, and much more. My favorite project has to be an interactive iPad display of the exhibit at the MIS Historic Learning Center. I was also able to create connections within the Japanese American community that I love. It is through these connections that NJAHS provided that I was able to develop a Nikkei student union on my campus and also partake in events such as the 2020 Day of Remembrance. To be quite honest, I don't think I would be where I am today without the help of NJAHS. So it's been a complete honor and privilege to work alongside NJAHS as we work to preserve the history of our community.
How wonderful. And thanks so much for them for sharing their thoughts. It's so exciting every time I meet some of the interns or see some of them engaging in the community, because they are part of our future leaders and people who bring fresh energy into the preserving of the history and also moving forward. We would like to, at this time, tell you about some other door prizes that we have. There have been many legacy businesses in the San Francisco Japantown area who have received recognitions from the city of San Francisco. And during COVID-19, the Japantown legacy businesses, as well as many businesses in the area, many of them are family owned and they're doing whatever they can to stay open. So doing our part to support them, the Historical Society is giving away door prizes, $20 gift certificates to some of these locations. One being Benkyodo, which makes traditional Japanese wagashi sweets, Soko Hardware, which has been a longtime destination for Japanese goods, the Paper Tree, which specializes in origami arts, and Yosakoi Sweet Stop, the home bakery to the famous Blum's Coffee Crunch Cake. We also want to support and recognize the Nichibei Foundation, which publishes the Nichibei Weekly and sponsors events in the community such as the Soy and Tofu Festival and Films of Remembrance. Again, we are drawing the winners randomly, and we hope that if you win, you will use these gift certificates to shop and support these Japanese American legacy businesses. They are so much a part of the fabric of who we are here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'd like to take this time now to move on to our third honoree. Dr. Reiko Honma True has had a long and very distinguished career advancing culturally and linguistically competent mental health services to Asian, African American, Hispanic, and other disenfranchised populations. In 1985, she became the very first Asian female deputy director of the San Francisco Mental Health and Substance Abuse Department. She has developed RAMS, helped to found the Richmond Area Multi-Services, and has fostered training opportunities for Asian Americans, psychologists, and mental health clinicians. Such important work. She also continues to play a very prominent role with the internationally known Asian American Psychological Association. And when the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake hit, she organized the Department of Public Health's citywide disaster response. Then in 1995, she was awarded a Fulbright Research Fellowship for Kobe earthquake disaster assistance and helped Japanese mental health professionals develop their own disaster response system. Following her retirement, she initiated a master's program in psychology in Tokyo at Alliant International University, linking that program with the California School of Professional Psychology in San Francisco. And each summer, Japanese graduate students that program would attend summer school in San Francisco at the San Francisco campus. They would visit organizations, including NJAHS, including the Chinatown Child Development Center, for community and clinical training. And the National Japanese American Historic Society really is so honored to present Dr. Reiko True with a 2020 award for her lifetime achievement in improving mental health care for Asian Americans and underserved communities of color.
I'm deeply honored to receive this recognition from National Japanese American Historical Society. When I first arrived in San Francisco with my family, I knew so little about how to get started in this country. I was not alone at that time. There were many newcomer Japanese women who were also facing hardship in the new country. Some of the leaders of the national Nikkei community, especially the activist leaders of Bay Area JACL, decided to help us by obtaining a grant to help start our support service. With that fund, I was able to start a support group for the newcomer women at the International Institute of East Bay. My friend Kazuko Tsuchiya, who is present tonight, and also a newcomer, was there to help organize the group. The group was named Himawari Sunflower Kai, hoping we will thrive like the sunflower in the new land. It is still going strong after 50 years or so. I was fortunate to find many lifelong friends among the group. After a career with NIMH, I was lucky to be given a rewarding career with the San Francisco Department of Health. Throughout my work in San Francisco, Nikkei community was there to support me. I'm most grateful for that. I'm also fortunate to be supported by many dedicated and capable Asian American staff in the department, including Dr. Ellen Sawamura, who is on the board of NJAHS. Since the shelter-in-place started in mid-March, we are now facing unprecedented pandemic crisis with economic and social upheaval. I'd like to take this opportunity to talk a bit about coping with the COVID-19 stressors. Along with paying attention to the medical experts' advice to wear masks, maintain social distance, and washing and disinfecting, I also would like to remind the community that there are psychological stressors that result in increased depression, anxiety, helplessness, or some behavioral problems such as angry outbursts, poor control of emotions, or sometimes alcohol and drug reliance, or physical symptoms such as headache, sleep problems, stomach upsets, etc. We can manage these stressors by practicing healthy coping strategies, which includes taking plenty of rest, maintaining healthy routine, and then doing coping and relaxation strategies that is good for us, like exercises, relaxation, meditation, music, reading, and taking time to really be close with our family and friends. And when these symptoms increase, it's important to seek the help of the experts. I'm concerned for our Japanese American community is that the Japanese tradition of having shame, haji, about mental health issues, and plus that we tend to be gaman so much so that things get worse before it can be taken care of. I'd like to urge our Nikkei community to be mindful of that and to seek early assistance. Before ending my greetings, I'd like to read a haiku I composed in appreciation of the Nikkei support. Grateful for Nikkei sacrifices, extending new opportunities to a Shin Issei. Thank you so very much for this award.
And bravo, and thank you so very much, Dr. True, for those words. So inspiring, and also you have set such a great example yourself, and certainly at this time that is needed with the pandemic and the mental health of the entire community. We appreciate it, and congratulations. At this point, we'd like to take a moment to also thank sponsors and donors who have helped make this event, this virtual event, possible. And thank you all to the people who purchased tickets and made donations throughout the evening. We want to recognize the crew, the fantastic crew that has helped to put this together. That includes Max Nihei, Melissa Ayumi Bailey, Tim Chen, Claudia Katayanagi, Satsuki Kobayashi, Hiro Edeza, Lisa Zhu, and our room monitor volunteers who have really been working hard to try and make sure that the technical side of things are all working out as well. So a big virtual round of applause for them, and great appreciation for everything that you did to contribute to this. Our final honoree is John Tateishi. He is a former national JACL director and was a leading figure in the fight for redress and reparations as a point man for the Japanese American Citizens League's campaign in the 1970s. After over 30 years, he wrote the book Redress, the inside story of the successful campaign for Japanese American redress. And John strengthened relations with key Nikkei legislators and really developed a national educational campaign for reparations. This was a monumental, long-shot effort, and it was undertaken by thousands of JACL members and chapter leaders. As redress director, his actions led to the creation of a federal commission to investigate the wrongdoings of the government behind Executive Order 9066 and the introduction of the initial monetary compensation bills. In the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks, John was the national JACL executive director, and he helped the organization take a stand in solidarity with the Muslim and the Arab American communities throughout the nation. NJAHS is proud to honor John Tateishi with a 2020 award for his courage and his conviction fighting for social justice. Here are a few tributes to his work.
Hi, my name is Floyd Morey. And John, I've known you for some 45, 50 years. And I remember the first time we got together was when you were with the Marin chapter JACL. I think you were president at that time. And from that time on, you've been a very ardent supporter, right out in front on many of the issues. And I remember the day of 9/11. And you and I had a conversation that morning, and we put out a statement the very next day, the first organization to do such, that although it's a tragedy, we must be careful about how we treat Arab Americans in the future. So John, keep up the good work. We wish you well, and good luck.
Hi, John. There are three things I wish to convey to you today. One, congratulations on being the honoree. Certainly well-deserved, and I know over the years you've dodged every opportunity to be recognized for your contributions to the community, and I'm glad that you're the honoree. Number two, 42 years ago, I had a life-changing event, and that life-changing event was having the ability to work with you on the JACL Redress campaign. As I think about it, but for you, redress would have never happened during our lifetime. And but for you, the Issei, Nisei, and Sansei would not have been able to realize the righting of wrongs from the 1940s. Also, the Yonsei and Gosei have a legacy that is consistent with our democratic institutions and traditions. John, you are an uncommon leader, and you have an intellectual understanding and sensitivity that is incisive, insightful, qualities which we dearly need today in our country. If I were given a chance to relive my life, I would not want to do it without you in it. John, the best is yet to come. So, ganbatte. Take good care. Talk to you soon. See ya, Ron.
I'm very honored to be here with Ninja for this recognition. It's very humbling because Ninja is such an important organization. When I started the Redress campaign with the JACL, I realized that there were various functions that we needed to accomplish, one of which was that we had to get past all the cultural walls and obstacles we had built in front of and around ourselves. And part of the process was for Japanese Americans expiating the guilt that we felt because of what we had experienced. And the process was not only educating the American public, but educating ourselves to understand what it was we went through. As part of that process, we fought for and won legislation to have a commission hearing so Japanese Americans could testify and tell their story for the first time. What I expected from the hearings was personal stories that would explain what the individual tragedy of redress or of incarceration was. What I didn't expect to happen was that the hearings would free us from the past, from the guilt, from the shame that we felt. And what I've seen as a result of all of that is an evolution within the Japanese American community where today we talk about camp. It's no longer a subject that we try to keep within ourselves, but it's freed us. And it's important that we continue with that sense of freedom to be able to talk about camp, to be able to talk about the experience, because the only way this country will ever remember what happened to Japanese Americans during World War II is if we push that issue out into the public. So organizations like NJAHS are extremely important for carrying on the legacy of Japanese Americans, because from one generation to the next, it will be forgotten. And it's really important for us and for the nation to know what happened to Japanese Americans during World War II. So the story of incarceration and the experience of Japanese Americans is really a very fundamental part of the constitutional history of the United States. And my hope is that by what we were able to achieve through redress and the birth of the memory being reborn after the war and after redress is over, and the creation of organizations like NJAHS continue for generations, because it's only if we tell the story that the story will live on. One definition of a cynic is a disillusioned romantic. I think basically I am a romantic. I've always been, it's part of what I see as the side that turns me in other directions than I would think I would go. I've always fought for what should be. And I don't know how I turn from this one when it's so important. So I may have fantasies of living in some village by some river in France, but the reality is probably, I'll get engaged for one last fight.
But congratulations to John, Tateishi, and to all of our awardees this evening. We so appreciate the work that you have done and the path that you have laid out for many of us to follow. We do have signed copies of John's book, Redress, that are available to our sponsors and also available for purchase on our website. You can check your email boxes, and we are giving 20% discounts and a few of the books as door prizes. And Melissa is going to be joining us now to explain some more of the prizes that we have available.
So first, Our Lost Years by director Lane Nishikawa. This is a film we premiered actually at last year's annual awards tribute. So please be checking your emails to see if you have won one of those free DVDs. Next up, we have Go for Broke by Anthony Brown's Asian American Orchestra. For those of you that had joined us at our November 2019 veteran event, you got to see this performance live, featuring Anthony as well as poet Janice Mirikatani. And finally, we have one surprise bonus door prize. We've been seeing in the chat that everyone greatly enjoyed our honoree videos tonight. So we're lucky enough also to have A Bitter Legacy by director and producer Claudia Katsuyanagi as another door prize. And Claudia is the one who put together all of these wonderful honoree films that you saw this evening. So please stay tuned. Check your emails after the program tonight. We'll be announcing the winners that way. All right. Thank you. Back to Jana.
Thanks, Melissa, and thanks, Claudia, for that. We also want to let you know about the Give Butter fundraising page. It is still live. Deep thanks and appreciation to those who've already donated. If you'd like to donate, we also have posted it in the chat, and I see that there are people who are posting messages for the honorees. Please feel free to do that, and also check the chat, Zoom chat board for the information on donations. At this point, we'd like to tell you about some of the upcoming programs that are still ahead.
Hello, my name is Naomi Shibata, and I would like to introduce you to a workshop I developed for first-time Nisei writers. This program is one of many currently offered by the National Japanese American Historical Society. The workshop is a meeting place for individuals with many shared experiences. Here, participants support one another, learn to tell their stories on their own terms, and discover their voices. Although each person's work is unique, the novice authors often pursue a common goal. To quote one individual, "I want my descendants to know the truth." Stories by former workshop participants can be found in the National Japanese American Historical Society publication, Nikkei Heritage, Spring 2018 edition.
And we hope you'll take an opportunity to try and participate in some of those other events through the year. As a finale, we have a special treat for you. We're pleased to present Kazanami. It's a collaboration of Yosakoi team members from across the United States, including California, Kansas, New York, Colorado, and Minnesota. And during this time, Ninjas asked Ito Yosakoi, that's a community-based Yosakoi dance program here in San Francisco's Japantown, to join together in the spirit of Soran Bushi, as you might know, a fisherman's dance. So they all came together with other dancers from Uzumaru, Ten Tekomai, Yosakoi Dance Project, K-State Tatsumaki Yosakoi, and Kawa Tatsu Yosakoi. So now, from their living room to yours, a special performance. Here's Kazanami.
Kazanami! Nanchu Soran! Kamae!
Ai,
Bravo, bravo, how wonderful. That is a feat of the modern era, being able to see all of those groups. You can see their names and the groups on the screen there. They really worked hard to try and be able to give us that wonderful opportunity to be able to see them at this time of social distancing. Well, this brings us to the end of our awards program, and we are so grateful that you were able to join us. We hope that you had a good time, that you enjoyed this opportunity to really come together, reflect back on our history and the contributions of the award winners tonight, and also we embrace this challenge to move forward together and help to build on their work. I was so honored to be a part of this evening. And before we go, we would like to do one special thing. We'd like to try and take a group picture. So we want to see everybody on the screen. So if you could please go to your screen and press the start video icon, and please leave your microphone on mute so we don't have a lot of voices coming in, but we'd love to see your faces, to see you there on the screen. So please switch to the gallery view if you like from the speaker view so that you also can see everybody. And Hiro is going to be taking the photo for us. So Hiro, when you are ready, just let us know and we'll give everybody a chance to click on those stop video icon button so that you can pop yourself up and we can see you, and he can take a picture of all of us so we can remember this most unusual but nevertheless very special evening that we've been able to share tonight. So Hiro, I will let you pop in when you are ready and give us the countdown.
Thank you, Jana. Perfect. All right, so we'll start off with the first one. We'll be doing this a few times because we have 5 pages of video right now. So ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. 1, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. And we're on the last page, so this last one. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Hiro. It's good to see your face, and it was great to see everybody's faces there up on the screen. Thank you for joining us and for all of your efforts and all of the people, the technical staff that helped to make all of this possible. We really appreciate it. We know that these are challenging times, and bravo to all of them. So we look forward to hopefully seeing all of you either in person or virtually next year. We do want to let you know we have raised so far $4,500 through that Give Butter campaign and the texting. So we will keep that open, but that is all money that's going to go to support these causes. So we are halfway to our goal, and we appreciate and thank you for being part of this today. We hope you have much more in the coming 2020-2021 season. So take care and be well.